Hello lads, and welcome to a new video. I've already done this intro twice and forgot to record on two different things. Today, we are going to be doing a completely different video than we normally do. We are doing a motherfucker. We are going to be going over my current helmet setup, which I think is the absolute best budget helmet setup you can get if you want to get into motovlogging. It's going to cost you under £200 and honestly, it's one of the best you can get. Amazing quality, amazing sound quality, and there's a few little extras you can add to it, 20, 30 quid here and there to make it look completely different, and you won't tell the difference between a current release Action 6 unless you're in very extreme scenarios. There's a car coming in like a right knob. Yeah, they're staring at me. So this video is going to be in two different parts, and that is going to be one, which is this very standard helmet setup, and two, which the helmet setup with a little few extras. Like, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, maybe brushing a little bit over 200, but it will look so much better. You don't have to do all of them straight away. You can go from the basic and optionally add extras, but I'll be showing you what each thing does as I go through and how you can make your footage look better in post. We're going to be going through the whole thing today. Day settings, night settings, the setup in general, absolutely everything. So let's get straight into it. First setup we're doing is the standard one, which I currently have on my Shark Aeron. It is the Action 4 DJI. Is it Osmo Action? Fucking hell, these are everywhere right now. It's the DJI Osmo Action 4. That is the camera I use, which you may think is a little bit outdated, but it comes in around 150 to 200 pounds depending on where you buy it, and it is a very capable camera. Obviously, there's brand new ones, the Action 6, which has a square sensor, bigger sensor, a lot better at night. But if you're on a budget, the Action 4 looks amazing. That is the first thing you need for this helmet set, which is the camera. It has audio and video. That is the main thing you want from motovlogging. Now, you can keep it at that. It's not really much for a motovlogging setup. For an extra £20, you can get the mic I'm currently using, which is a DJI Mic Mini. It's a tiny mic, wireless, very easy to install literally anywhere. You can put it on the back of your bike, like around here. My camera, down, 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 down. You can put it on your rear seat if you really want to, underneath, clip on your plate, whatever you want to do. It's a tiny little mic. I'll quickly show it you. So I've cracked my visor so you can still hear me, but this is the mic. It is absolutely tiny, and you can literally get like sound effects with it. Like, you can put it near, if you're making cinematic videos like I do, you can put it near the throttle or anything. You know, I'll give you an example. If, for example, I'm currently next to the throttle, my camera does not want to be next to the throttle. Oh well, I'm going to make it be. No, it wants to look over there. Okay. Well, I'm next to the throttle, and if you can hear this, which, oh fuck, why are you looking in the sky? If you're next to the throttle, ignition switch, whatever, you can hear. I don't know if you could hear that, but you can use it in cinematics. I've used it in the past for my Razor MRT 50. How I have it set up in my helmet is what I'm going to show you now for the Osmo Action 4 and for the Mic Mini, for the standard setup. Right, so this is my Shark Aeron, as I said previously, and I have the Osmo Action 4 mounted by a chin mount with an extension arm and a safety GoPro clip or action camera clip. Now, you don't have to get the safety one, but I have found it works a lot better. You can mount it up and down, and it has a little bit of rubber. I'll put a close up now. You can see it pretty well there. It has a little bit of rubber there. Yeah. A little bit of rubber that will basically stop it falling out. It will basically stop it falling out of place like that. Now, for the mic, it's a little bit harder to see. I currently have it in there, which is literally right next to my cheek pad. I'm going to put another close up on the screen now. It is mounted by a bit of Velcro, and it is magnetised to the magnet that it comes with. So, you know, so that in there is the magnet, and this is the Mic Mini. It has this base at the back, which is magnetic. and it also has this clip back here, so you can, if you wanted to, mount it to your plate for perfect audio from your exhaust. Now, to clip it in, it's very easy. It's got an on button, off button, whatever. You literally chuck it in like that, and that is in. Now, that is actually it for the standard combo. Very, very simple. Usually, simpler setups are better. I've gone through multiple setups with wired lavs, audio adapters, and loads of things like glued onto my old helmet. And I think this is the simplest, one of the best sounding systems you can get. Battery life on both of these things lasts absolutely ages. You can be out all day and have to carry on way one battery for this thing, and the Mic Mini will just last forever. Now we're going to show a quick preview of what this looks like riding, very, very quick, just down this road, and you will see what the video looks like coming from it. Right, so this is the display on the Osmo Action 4. When you have the mic connected, it will show up on this top bit when you talk, which is quite cool. Now, firstly, you've got to do, when you connect the Mic Mini, obviously you can look at YouTube video for that. You go onto wireless mics, and obviously you'll find your Mic Mini once it's connected. These are the settings for you to copy. Monitor volume 50, that don't really matter because you're not monitoring it through an action cam usually. LED, that is completely up to you, but I like to have it on so I can see in my helmet when it's on. Low cut on, auto power off, that is a preference. I don't like it turning off when I stop for a long period of time. I've got to turn it on, but again, that's a preference. Clipping control, you need that on, and that is it. Now, when it comes to the Mic Mini in this section, you either have Pro on. Now, transmitter, -12, you need that for motovlogging. The gain doesn't actually go any lower, which is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. And transmitter 1 noise reduction, you need that on low. High sounds too much like a robot. When it's off, you just hear bare wind, so it's better to have it like this. Now for the camera side, exposure, you're gonna have that on auto because with the standard lens, that's all you can get. You can't adjust the exposure through like an ND filter when you don't have one. Now, auto white balance, keep that on auto, obviously. Now, this is where it gets up to you. So, colour, if you are wanting to colour grade in post, make sure that is D-Log M. Now, I'll be showing you how to colour grade in post later. If you don't want all the hassle, you just want to film, you can do normal, but it will look generally worse and capture less data. FOV, well, now an ultra wide for motovlogging. Now, this is a preference, just like most of these settings, but sharpness -1, noise reduction -2 will give the cleanest looking 4K image you can get. So this is the sound that comes from the mic inside the helmet and the DJI with no ND filters, just standard. Now this is with those settings that I just showed. A little bit of raw sound, what sounds going from the microphone. Now you can hear a lot of wind. It's a very windy day today. I think 22 miles an hour wind. It's not too bad, but it's more than normal. And my current helmet isn't the greatest with wind noise anyway. So this is currently filming in D-Log. This is what standard colour will look like on the DJI. So if you do normal colour, and this is with colour grading on the screen. So colour grading looks a lot better. A lot more information is stored and can be shown if you were going for a certain feel in your video. I don't think I should be here, you know, I don't even know. You know, we'll flip a little Yui, mate. as if I can remember where to go. So that is the setup with auto, exposure, and standard. Mate, all these people driving by, I think I'm a right tool, and I've realised I've just had my helmet strap out. Sorry about that. This camera is very capable. The one thing that it lacks standard is adjusting exposure through the lens. So you can have a fixed 1/120 shutter or 180 shutter. I don't know what the rule's called. Basically, you get actual motion blur. So you can see here without NDs and without natural motion blur. And then you can see here with motion blur. The edges look a lot more quick and it looks a lot more natural, less like a video from a camera. Now, ND filters for this camera do vary quite a lot. I've had mates who's had... Where's that butterfly come from? I've had mates who ND filters actually fell off when they were riding. So I've always gone with newer for any of my NDs, for my phone, for literally anything. Nothing really changed on the mic side physically, but one thing you can do is have a second one. Now, this is if you've got a good sounding bike, like myself. I'm tempted to get another one when I get a better sounding bike, because no one wants to hear a 1254 stroke at all. But I'll go through the settings now. Now, when having an ND filter on your camera, your settings need to really be a fixed exposure. So if you're recording in 30 frames 4K, on your manual side here, you've got to switch it. You've got to do 1/60. And you've got to set your exposure basically wherever you feel like. If you've got an ND filter that's too powerful for the day, or for the brightness, you need to have somewhat varied exposure. So I usually do 100 to 400. So when I go in dark areas, it kind of compensates. So I can quickly show you what an ND filter does just on the preview. So that is without an ND filter, and this is an ND filter. When you put that in front of the camera, you can see everything comes into color, but that's just what it can look like. Now this is a preview of it riding. Now this is the test video with the advanced, so ND filter and fixed shutter speed. Pheasant, crazy. So the reason I do auto exposure is areas like this where an ND filter is too harsh, it should adjust to this area if I look down. And once I get into the sun, which looks overexposed now, should be exposed correctly now. Oh, big up the Nissan Qashqai driver. Oh, thank fuck for that. Anyway, back to... I've got to go the other way now, so I don't get done for going fast. But yeah, I've tried heaps and heaps of setups, and this I think looks the best. I'm thinking on upgrading to an Action 6 somewhere in the near future. You know, I reckon we're fine to open it up now. So I'm thinking of upgrading to an Action 6 at some point, literally just for the square aspect ratio, because this camera can do portrait pretty well. It comes with a portrait mount for their magnet brackets. Now I'm going to go to the night settings of the camera when I'm leaving the gym later. and then I won't do a preview of the night. I'll do a preview. I'll show it all in post. I won't do a preview of the night though. So yeah, let's get straight into that. So I did forget to record outside the gym. I did film, I just didn't record me typing my settings in. So I'm going to show you now the night settings for the Osmo Action 4. So ignore the fact it's to actually, you know what, yeah. So set it obviously to 4K, 30 frames. Then on here, exposure, set that to run auto with an ISO of 100 to 6400. D-Log M helps bring back some of that light in the editing. FOV ultra wide, this is my night adjustment, or actually that's my night adjustment if you would follow that. And the mic is the exact same as in the day. Now let's get straight into the editing. This is the post-production section of the video where I'll be going over showing you how to color grade all three pieces of footage. So I'm going to be grading the simple setup, a slightly advanced setup, and the night setup. Now all the settings have been listed in this video. All the setups are roughly the same apart from the advanced has ND filters. I'll usually get an adjustment layer to put it over the top of these videos so I can get a more consistent grade over the whole set of videos, but we're doing each one individually today. So we'll start off with a very simple setup and quickly have a preview of what it looks like. There will be no audio, so it's a bit easier to watch, but this is D-Log flat colors basically. So we start by heading over to the color tab, and I create about 5 nodes. Now you can name these if it makes it easier, but personally I do my CST first, then this is for my LUT, that is what I do last. I do my graph, HDR adjustments, slight color adjustments, and that is all 5 that I use. Some people use a power grade which takes more than 5, usually 10, and a lot of effects, but I won't be going into effects today. First thing we're doing is adding a CST to this 4th node. Now a CST will change it from a log format into a Rec 709 format. So to get the best CST and most accurate, it will depend on your exposure and it may look a bit off just from the CST, but that is what all these other adjustments for. That's why we do this first. So input to color space, if you are using the most up-to-date version of DaVinci, you can find DJI D-Gamma. Now this is not actually available in the older ones, which when it first came to this it actually messed with the colours quite a lot and I didn't realise how much it did it because I did used to just do Rec 2020, so I'm not really in practice with D-Gamma, but that is one we're using today. Now input gamma will be D-Log. Now output colour space will be Rec 709. And output gamma will be gamma 2.4. Now you can experiment with each one of these. I find this is the most accurate way to bring colors back from being flat. Now it does look very contrasty, but we will fix this. Now the next thing I like to do is add an S-curve on a graph. So I do this on node 2. Doesn't really matter which order you do it, I just do it based off what makes sense in my mind. So go onto the curves tab down here and make sure you've enabled editable splines. And I just like to do very simple S-curve. Raise these a bit. Now on the 3rd node we're doing HDR adjustments. So this will be your exposure or which way you want to bring the video to make it look a little bit tinted. So sometimes, as you can see, if I wanted this to look warmer, I'd ever so slightly move the global over to make it a bit warmer. There is other ways to add warmth to a video. This is not a set method. This is just how I do it sometimes. Now in this first node, I'm going to be doing log wheels, which is for log formats. Now this is the best way I find to adjust exposure. Now again, there are many ways to do this in DaVinci, you just find what works for you. I find this is the best way as it gives me a nice slider and I can visually see how much it does it. There are obviously other ways, this is just my way. Now that I've adjusted this to how I like, I'll give it a little watch, and I can see it's still a little bit harsh on the saturation, so I will tone that down in the HDR. So this is looking better. The one thing you will notice is this exact same grade on another clip, which is the one with ND filters, will look a lot better as the frame rate is not varied and it's fixed. So the exposure isn't constantly adjusting like it is on this. Now finally you can add a LUT. So this is actually fully graded and you don't really need to do anything else with it. You can just leave it like this. Now I can see in my OBS preview that it does look a little bit different to how I'm seeing it. I'm looking at it on a HDR monitor, or whatever this monitor is, basically brightens the image in the monitor. Now it will give a different effect on each monitor. Currently the filming, I'm doing it through OBS, it won't look the same, so the actual preview of this will have shown in the video already. Now I like to add a LUT. I use the JV1 LUT pack. To be fair, just to keep all these grades consistent and show you the difference between these settings one last time, I am going to do Aurora as my LUT for all of these grades, apart from the night one. You'll see why in a moment. So now I have the grade on, I'll give it a little proof watch, and I can see, I think that actually nicely suits it, but I never usually use a full gain on a LUT, so I'll usually turn this down to about 0.7, just so you can see that is what the LUT does. So this is what the camera captured raw, and this is now that it's got a grade. I think it looks a lot better, and it just makes the simple setup look so much more professional. Now we are moving on to the better looking footage. So this footage straight already looks good. The motion blur adds a lot to it. So if you were just to copy this grade over, we can just append the grade onto this clip. Now, due to the fact I use an ND filter and the exposure isn't constantly jumping, it will look a little bit darker and a little bit more saturated like it does here, so we are going to have to make some adjustments. So I am just going to slightly play with this curve to add a little bit more blacks in. Now, the last thing I may do is slightly change this. And now watching that from the log straight out the camera to the color graded, the shadows are a little dark, but I quite like the look it gives. Now the next grade is not such a copy and paste, it is night footage. Now I actually had my settings slightly wrong here, as I didn't have my noise reduction on -1, I had it on -2, so there is a lot more visible noise, as you can see in this clip. So I'll be adding 6 nodes to this one, is my image adjustment. So that is on this tab here. So this will change your blur, scaling, sharpening, all of that stuff. So with the sharpness setting on the camera, that is all added, and it can be re-added in post. So you never want to shoot too much because you can't really get rid of it without losing quality in the footage. What noise reduction does in the camera is lower the sharpness of the image, give it a little bit more blur, you can't see as much visual noise. So I think that looks good. There's not really much I can do now I'm in post with noise reduction. The camera actually does a really good job. Now next we're going to do is a CST, which is the exact same, so I'm going to quickly skip over that. So now I've done my CST, it does look a little bit darker, so we're going to do our curves node next. But we don't have to do this as aggressive, as we don't really want much contrast in this image. We want enough to keep the blacks black, but not enough to make the image look too dark. Now blog wheels, we're doing the exposure, which is quite nice to boost up there. Now at night I like a cooler image, so I will be doing the HDR wheels a little bit cooler, like I just did on the global, which has a little bit of blue, as you can see there. Not a lot, just enough to change slight vibe of the video. So unlike what I did say, Aurora doesn't look great at night, but we're just going to keep it consistent with the grades, just to keep it all looking very similar. To drag that over, one thing we definitely will have to do is lower the key output on this one. Then just give it a little watch. I think that looks pretty good. Now, as far as night footage goes on this camera, the night footage isn't great anyway, but I think this looks pretty damn good. So that is how you do a basic color grade on all 3 of these setups.
Now, I may do a more in-depth video of motovlogging. This is just more of a setup guide. I may be doing more settings and simple motovlogging and starter filmmaking. Not quite sure. I hope you enjoyed the video. It is a little bit different. A lot more videos coming. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. See you later.